back. We're gonna go ahead and continue watching more Warhammer videos. Today we're gonna be watching a timeline of the 40k universe by Trazyn the Infinite. I'm really excited to see. I watched a little bit of it. Not too much, but it sounded like a movie. So I love really cool like narration and stuff. So I hope you guys look forward to it. Has anyone seen this video yet? I haven't. I didn't get this video recommended to me by anyone. It was this video was like all my suggestions, and I was curious about it. So, alright, are you guys ready to get started? Let's go ahead and watch. This is so cool. We're in space, dude. POV, you're a pebble. Warrior tier present. Like, see, this is like a movie. It's so cool. Narrated by Matthew J. Plum.
My life's work. My museum. Our gallery. Within these halls sits the galaxy's most comprehensive collection of artifacts in existence.
Holy shit, this is so cool.
I have spent my long years cataloging the entire culture of all the beings I could, from the dawn of time to the present day. Within these halls
holy shit, this is actually a BBC documentary.
The last known words of countless races who have been cast to the harsh, uncaring winds of time. Truth be told, there are more galleries in my museum than a mortal could wish to visit in several lifetimes. Each hall is dedicated to a great empire and their achievements, but also their faults and inevitable demise.
This is very,
the history of the
very epic quote.
With such empires, their names forever carved on the steel of time. There are others who accomplished little with their gift of life, their existences being short,
dude, they're calling me out.
Tales. The tales of history are only reserved for those who earn the right to write them.
For glory!
I will show the halls of my library to guide you on the story of all of time. As we start from the dawn of all existence.
Oh, dude, that's just really cool. The history of the universe. As told by Trazyn the Infinite.
Density, temperature, a singularity,
Kelvin.
Initiating the expansion.
Wow, this is
primordial
beautiful.
Gas and cosmic dust sent into eternity to become everything we know or ever will.
Yep, the universe is just one big fart. Wow. This is kind of giving me a crisis a little bit. I'm thinking about my place in the world.
Gravity birthed the stars. It connects the galaxies, guiding them in motion to their inevitable orbits. That haunting cosmic ballet played out over infinite millennia, forever churning in the restless flow of time, locked in the embrace of gravitational unity. Vast ages of time pass. Ancient evolution forms in the stars. Gravity guides worlds beyond count into existence. As the stars collapsed and more were driven into the infinite, the impossible happened.
Oh shit, this is really cool.
The first true life in the universe emerged, victorious.
Yes,
in
evolution.
An arms race of evolutionary barbarism. I suppose I should introduce the Immaterium, the Sea of Souls, the Ether. It has many names. However, it is generally referred to as the Warp.
The Warp!
An alternate dimension that has existed as long as the universe itself.
Yep, it's just sitting
Made
here
up
chilling.
Of pure psychic energy and raw emotions. The warp is endless, unpredictable, and terribly dangerous to those who cannot harness its power.
You need to
The
lock
first
in if you
conscious
find
life
yourself
was
in
the
there.
star vampires, self-aware entities that appeared in the void between nowhere and nothing. Beings of great power
damn.
that
They just spawned
consumed
in?
the energies of stars, feeding on the life force of the planets themselves.
Oh wait, these are
These parasites
the
do not
sea
differ
tech
from
guys,
any
right?
life in the universe. All life desires the same outcome: energy
The
consumption
gatekeepers.
and safety for their offspring. They would, with time, be known as the Catan,
Sorry, Catan. Sorry, I don't know. Did I say sea tech?
the cursed reptilian old
I'm
ones.
stupid. Sorry.
Scraped their primal forms onto the shores of worlds, long dead before even we Necrons evolved to stand upright. The first true sentient beings to cross the vast reaches of the galaxy. They were the first to climb the long trail of evolution and
Damn.
self-awareness. Their ceaseless advances placed them at
Dude,
the
these
top
are like
of
the
the
fastest
pyramid in
sperms,
this
bro.
galaxy. They traveled through the stars like dust travels on the breeze, and even built what younger races would call the Webway. Through the Webway, the Old Ones seeded life on hundreds of worlds. In their wake, they birthed countless untold species and cultures. Life was cruel to our species. I need not tell you that. Evolving upon a cursed world, falling victim to the scorching heat of our nearest star, withering our bodies and lives. Our suffering evolved our culture and history.
Dude, these guys low-key
We
live in
built our
Arizona.
empire, despite the struggle and endless pain. We were worthy of the gifts the stars had shown to the others. Our leaders met with the Old Ones.
No,
We
don't
begged
trust
for the
them.
cure to death,
Don't
to
trust
show us
them.
the secrets of
They're
immortality.
gatekeeping
They
hoes.
refused us, refused our desire for life. And in their ignorance, they doomed themselves.
Yeah,
There was no
karma.
choice for us. We waged war against the tyrants. Countless generations ground to powder beneath the heel of the greedy and the vicious. Even with our unified empire, even with the might of countless worlds and millions of genius warsmiths, the strength of our dynasties was not enough to defeat the Old Ones.
No.
The war was lost. The greatest defeat being that we were still cursed to weak, frail lives. The Old Ones banished us to the edges of the galaxy.
Oh my god.
They forced us
The Old
into
Ones
exile
suck.
on our home world.
They suck.
It was then that the Catan came with
Wait,
their
this is so
offer.
immersive.
The ancient beings of the cosmos had appeared. They came as gods, promising the gifts we desperately sought.
No, don't
We were
trust them.
all
They're
fools
also
to believe
hoes.
them.
No.
After the agreements were signed, our people were put in chains and marched into the furnaces. As our flesh and blood was ripped from our bodies, we became the machine. We were betrayed. The Catan,
No.
those
the
traitorous
Catan.
sun-eating dogs, feasted on the souls of a whole race.
Me and my
An
homies
entire
hate these
culture.
motherfuckers.
How tragic then that the ambassador for the Catan was named the Deceiver, but our translators misunderstood and believed its name was the Messenger.
No.
The
We're
God War,
throwing.
the breaking of the void, the war in heaven. 5 million years of hate and flame.
Damn, that's a
The
long
Old
ass
Ones
war.
were driven back by the combined force of the Catan and us, their steel slaves. Wherever we Necron tread, life fades like a
Damn.
distant spark in a cold night. The Old Ones, those fools, they grew desperate, creating the Eldar to help them in their losing war. A race of decadent, hedonistic artists to fight steel gods. Fools. They created the fierce Krok, a species that thrives on war and the desire for war. Little
Yeah,
did they know
my
of the
type of
plague they were
species.
creating. And on a small habitable world, It was said that they also seeded baseline primate life. As the last defense strongholds are on the verge of collapse, after we have flayed the minds and spirits of countless old ones, they formed their last doomed battle line. As the old ones were pushed into oblivion, Zarek, the Silent King, led our armies against our slave masters.
Yeah!
We turned on the Catan. The Catan were weakened by the war against the Old Ones and the threats of the Eldari and Krork armies. The Catan were shattered, defeated, and placed in our stasis chambers.
Holy shit, this
made
second
to watch
art is
from
beautiful. Is this like...
as the race they
Is this
sought to
official art,
enslave
or did they make it for the
freed
video?
themselves. The mighty Catan were not much more than prisoners, forced to watch us live on, despite their evil desire. Weakened from the wars, we faced the new threats of the multiple upstart races. The Eldari, the Krork, and so many more.
Damn, these guys don't get a break.
The Silent King decided our fate. We were to wait in silence as our armies rebuilt. We need
They
not
just take
fear
a
time
big nap.
like our puny carbon-based enemies. It is during this time the Eldari developed their technology at an exponential rate, becoming the dominant force in the universe. It seemed they had advanced their species to immortality, but how long could they sustain their own desires? I admit, I am partial to the Eldari. Their great works are unrivaled. Their ability to will a world into being is haunting.
This is pretty cool, I think.
We must speak about the so-called human element.
Oh,
as
yes.
their empires
The
take
rise
up
of
many
humans.
halls of my museum. Though sometimes unhinged and unpredictable, they are interesting and present true promise for us. We will cover much of their history, difficult as it is with the conflicting dates set by the Imperium itself. But no matter, we will account their records from our own sources. Imperial records will be our guide, or should I say, those Imperial records which I have procured will be our guide. I always found them to be of great amusement. They had begun on a small Class 54415 planet, on the
Holy
edge of the
shit.
galactic arm of the Milky Way.
Terra has a number.
They had first crawled from the primordial ooze as advanced
Yeah, evolution,
water-based
baby.
life. To think that glorified fish now wrap the galaxy in an iron fist is enough to burn my central processors to solder. However, as we slept, these fish people became baseline primates, Class 4 beings.
Holy crap. Evolution.
For much of their early existence, the primitives accomplished little. It was their use of tools that separated them from the other animals of creation. From the first moment a cave-dwelling savage struck a porcine variant with a rock, it was all over. Slowly, they
Technology.
invented pottery and the bringer of security.
Holy
is
crap,
fire.
the entire time they've been asleep, like humans are
It was then
evolving.
that the warp entities had emerged from the
That's
void.
like thousands and
the
thousands
first
of
knowledge
years.
of the immaterium. The damage from our wars against gods had ripped wounds in the universe. From these wounds came the apparent gods, extremely powerful creatures that bask in the souls of the dead,
Damn, this
growing
is
ever in
beautiful.
power. The mortals referred to the beings as the Chaos Gods. They were named Korn, Zinch, and Nurgle. What are three more pathetic void beings against the might of this galaxy? We have killed greater beings before.
No!
We may
They
have to
don't
do
know.
so again. It is at this point that the Eldari learned the secrets of the webway and continued their dominance of the stars. The Imperial myth concerning the birth of their
Dude, I like the
God
little
Emperor
timeline.
is as follows. Seeing the inevitable fate of humanity to be consumed by the Chaos Gods, a group of humanist shamans banded together to stop this future.
Yeah.
They had devised a plan to save their species from the thirsting gods committing ritualized mass self-annihilation. As the shamans died and their souls entered the warp, the power of the souls overwhelmed the beings that inhabited that dead void. The soul of their soon-to-be emperor was birthed, and made manifest in his physical form. I must add here, this is perhaps one of my favorite twists of fate in all of history. Deep within a black stone complex, which crashed on Mars before the rise of humanity, is the Noctis Labyrinth. Within walls built 65 million years ago by us, lies the ancient Void Dragon. Imperial myth tells us that it is believed that the Emperor conquered this dragon on Terra.
Whoa!
After this defeat, it was imprisoned beneath Mars for all time. Little do they know, those red-robed clicking iron princes, that their Void Dragon is a Catan let loose by corrupted slumber codes. I wonder how they would react to the news that its real name is the Eater of Knowledge.
That's a sick-ass name.
The humans began
Who's
their
that
empire
Pokemon?
on Terra. Their grasp of technology is slow. They spend much of their time throwing sharpened tree pieces at each other. Terra had a multitude of cultures, each one's god more important than the other. It was during this time that the Chaos Gods had fully awakened. With the abundance of new souls, the Chaos Gods had grown stronger.
No!
One human myth is that these events in their early years manifested the gods.
Actually, yeah, no, wait, that's a good thing.
Was born in
My
the
go
charnel
Nurgle.
pits of
More
millions
power,
of dead
baby.
humans. Nurgle vomited into the universe in the wake of the vast catalogue of their illnesses. And Tzinch during the artistic awakening periods of each unique Terran culture. How arrogant to think that the universe would notice their tiny conflicts. Humans had conquered their homeworld. They had experimented with the possibilities of travel through the immaterium, still unsure of how to harness its power for space travel. They had developed primitive spacefaring capabilities and set off to terraform their solar system. They have always been amusing creatures, thinking
guys are cool,
themselves
bro.
masters of the cosmos, even back when fire was their most advanced achievement.
Damn. He's kind of roasting them.
In essence, they are simple jellyfish, a travesty of
Damn.
nerves that stems from an inferior brain,
Oh my
piloting
gosh.
a suit of bone, wrapped in decaying meat. It is their arrogance
Dude,
that I enjoy
I'm getting
so much.
roasted.
They were never meant for the stars, yet they do all to conquer each parsec. They fight
That's
amongst
actually really
themselves
cool.
more than any enemy. Tranquility makes them squirm. They lived for war.
Be like that.
The humans
Humans,
built colonies
represent.
throughout their nearest worlds, a slow process due to their primitive spacecraft. They continue to do what they do best, build and breed.
Holy shit.
Worlds are terraformed
That's
and
all we're
colonized.
good for.
Sublight travel was their archaic way of colonization, each colony drifting farther from the home world of Terra. Overexpansion resulted in loss of communication. It was only a matter of time before this formula would collapse into bedlam and chaos. As the years drifted on, countless interstellar empires emerged, trading throughout the galaxies.
Dude, I love
Most
how
of these
immersive this
supposed
is, like
empires
from the
born-
Necron POV.
They prosper for such short spans of time. One does not even need to remember their futile existence.
Damn, bro, I'm gonna cry. He's gonna make me cry. Stop being so mean to the humans,
The
man.
humans furthered their grasp on nature, bending any resources they could find to their greed. Colonies stretched into
Trazyn
the
is
vast
high and
reaches
mighty.
of solar systems, overextending their empire. The myths of the Emperor continue to grow. It is said the Emperor arrived on Molech and found a portal into the Immaterium. A deal was made with the Chaos Gods for the gift of knowledge of warpcraft, allowing the Emperor to create the Primarchs.
Yeah.
The Eldar Empire had grown into the most advanced civilization in the
Oh,
universe.
the Eldar.
They had achieved the apex of technology, creating
Thumbs
their
up.
own desires from will alone. Lesser races proved no threat to their domination of the stars.
They're the Alpha.
The human gene saw an evolutionary jump. There were sudden appearances of psychers, as they call them. cursed individuals who can draw power from the immaterium. Humans who developed the navigator gene allowed the first human navigators to make the passage through the warp. The great navigator bloodlines controlled warp travel. The humans continued to explore and colonize all that they found. Treaties were signed with dozens of xeno races. It was truly a golden age for humanity.
So
Technology
true.
often gets the better of the primitive species that craft it. The promises of comfort and ease of existence has led to the downfall of dozens of species. It was then that man's greatest creations, their slaves, turned on their masters in force. The cybernetic revolt, as it was once called, started with the men of iron. Anarchy ripped throughout all of humanity.
Well,
the golden age of humanity ended in brutality. Who knows how many billions lost their lives, or what technology was destroyed in the process. Across the stars, another empire fell to time. The Eldar had enjoyed their moment of success. Technology was not their downfall. Their own desires tore them apart. Sheer physical impulses and depravity broke them.
They kind of
their yearning for lust
in.
and pleasure cursed their kind. The being that spawned from their depravity forever changed the course of the stars. It was then that the being known as Slaanesh came to be.
Fucking Eldars.
The Eye of Terror that came to be from the creation of Slaanesh obliterated almost all of the Eldar. She who thirsts, as some have called Slaanesh.
Hot. I mean, oh, whoa, that's awful.
Souls.
Damn. That's...
Some of the Eldari foresaw the dark future and left their homeworlds behind. The craft worlds were all that was left of them now. Vast, floating cities that are slowly fading away. As a fan of theatrical renditions of historical events, I find the performances from this era to be especially entertaining.
Damn.
The humans had peaked in their scientific advances. The historical blueprints, or as they are more commonly known, the standard template constructs, became the database of all human
The fall
technology.
of the Eldar is hot.
Humanity was plagued with warp storms.
That's crazy,
that
chat.
appeared throughout the far reaches of the galaxy. Warp travel was impossible, and the colonies began to erode.
No.
This is a difficult time for my collection. Almost all the important artifacts had been stolen by that damned Mechanicus. Ugh. If only I were awake during this time.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, they've been sleeping through
candidates
the whole
for the corruptive
existence of the
powers
world.
that inhabit the warp. Through the warp storms, psychic energy flowed into space. The weaker of humanity's psychers suffered from demonic possession.
Just lock in,
human
humans!
race tore itself
Stop!
apart.
They're throwing.
The Emperor of Mankind began his plans for domination. He began work on creating the gene seeds that would lead to the formation of his 20 sons, or as they are more commonly referred to, Primarchs.
Before the gods go and
record
eat.
fails to state exactly how this event occurred. It only states the Primarch embryos were scattered throughout the galaxy. All blame is laid at the feet of the Chaos Gods for this deed. But who can really say?
Damn.
The Emperor set out on his quest to find the missing Primarchs. My sleep was suddenly over. Myself and other High Lords awakened from our slumber.
Good morning!
My initial excitement evaporated as the realization of how much time had passed.
Uh-oh.
I had to continue my work. It was my duty to my dynasty to store the relics of our past. Even that miserable little pile of secrets Urakin was awakened. However, this was not our time to reclaim our galaxy. What a time to be awake, to witness this short era of grandeur. This story of this era contains artifacts that are amongst my favorites in all of my museum. The warp storms that plagued mankind for over 5,000 years drifted away. The Emperor of Mankind was known as the greatest psyker in history. He united the people
My
under
goat.
his rule during the Unification Wars. He made a pact with the cult Mechanicus on Mars. He expanded the human empire while discovering his wayward sons. The blood
Damn.
that was spilled was that of legend. The humans had set to take hold of the galaxy, swallowing everything in their path. Unity was always their strength. Yet, they denied it at every chance they could.
Be like that.
The Emperor was the key to their survival. He colored his legions and sent his sons to fight his wars. I witnessed such glorious battles during this period.
He's the cameraman, dude.
So much occurred during these times. So much to record, to document, to preserve. The artifacts from this era are amongst some of my favorites. The Primarchs had been found and sent on their various quests for the Emperor. The Great Crusade had come to an end. Humanity had become the dominant life in the universe. Imperial history, recording events during these times, had been subverted. So much has been altered to appease the masses, to appease the Inquisition and the religious maniacs. What is known as fact is the Emperor's favorite son, Horus, had betrayed the Emperor.
God damn it,
He and
Horus!
half of his brothers rebelled against the Imperium, and I was there to see it play out. The Battle of Istvan III was where the treachery transpired, with blade and firearm. To see the armored warriors battle, brother against brother, it was as beautiful as it was tragic.
Damn. Oh wow, this is beautiful artwork. I haven't seen a lot of these.
I remember being impressed by the humans. My theory of their hatred of peace was proven once again. How they loved to fight. The eternal war had begun.
Oh my gosh.
Above Terra, another civil war had already begun brewing.
Another one!
The Mechanicum split into two. The Red Robes believe in a being they named the Omnisire. Many believe the Emperor was not the true avatar of the machine god. Many believe that the Emperor is, in fact, the Omnisire made flesh. An epic battle took place above what the humans had once called the Earth. The traitor sons of the Emperor invaded the human homeworld. They had come to kill
is
the
fucking
Emperor
brutal.
and take control of the Imperium.
Damn.
This was a staggering battle for beings such as humans. The final battle occurred between Horus and the Emperor after millions were killed by their blood brothers. The final blows were landed
This was
by
so
the Emperor
epic.
and his favorite son Horus. A clash that left the Emperor fatally wounded.
No, lock
It
in!
is a shame what happened.
Nah,
The
he
Emperor
threw.
slew Horus, who, in fairness, had it coming. Much to
Yeah.
my annoyance, those loyal to Horus managed to steal his remains away.
Oh,
How I
what
wished
the hell?
to have Horus's armor in my collection.
No!
I
His
have
collection!
spent many centuries harvesting rumors of the
Wait,
remains
this guy
of the
is
arch-traitor.
He's catching them
The
all,
fatally
dude.
wounded emperor was interred in the Golden Throne, a technological marvel from humanity's old world. Technology the Mechanicus hardly understood.
The Emperor
This
is
was the
locked in
end of
to the
the human
chair.
reign of
Ah shit,
superiority.
he got me there.
It had come to a glorious finale. The fact that I'm reasonably confident that the Golden Throne is our technology is not important. The times following the Horus heresy were boring in comparison. Humans fell back once again into predictability. It was black or white from then on.
Be like that, man.
The Loyalists gradually reclaimed the Imperium, pushing the traitor forces that aligned with the Chaos Gods back into the warp. The 9 Loyalist Space Marine legions are divided and began their own quests throughout the galaxy. The humans desperately wanted their place at the top. As they struggled, other races grew in strength across the galaxy. The Drukhari had formed back when Slanesh the Depraved was birthed. They saw the event as inevitable and accepted their evolutionary destiny. They are a brutal race, arrogant, hedonist, and vile for the sake of nefariousness. There were none in the galaxy who rivaled their cruelty. A slave in the city of Komora named Vect swore to be the ruler of the Dark City. He was ambitious and founded his own group known as the Cult of the Black Heart. With a devious plan, he betrayed the leaders of Komora and had the humans kill his enemies.
Oh,
With the leaders
shit.
weakened, Vect took power and led the Dark Elder. What he led them towards is unknown. These beasts created nothing, they offered nothing. They reveled in suffering just as the Catan did. They are beneath our regard, but have earned our disgust.
Whoa, that's such a fucking
The
cool,
orcs
like,
attempted to claim
aura.
their position at the top of
Cool
the
quote,
evolutionary
dude.
chain.
He's aura farming.
The ancient race had swelled in numbers over the millennia. An orc war boss known as the Beast built an impressive army that rampaged the universe.
Yeah!
It was during this time that
The
the
orcs,
greenskins
they're
became
goated.
a threat to all. I find them to be similar in some ways to the humans, warring against each other, obsessed with power,
Well,
obsessed with what both races call
you know what? The orcs are cool. I'll take
Loot.
it. I take it.
what a crude word.
I
Both
love
believe
loot.
their technology to be superior to all. Another life form that idolizes the spirit of war, the Astartes, were able to stop the Green Wave, at great costs, however.
Yeah.
A new species emerged from the dust of the cosmos. The flesh robotics first discovered the Tau on a distant world. The Adeptus Mechanicus ship, Land's vision, found the primitive species. The blue creatures were simple in nature, having only learned to use simple tools and fire.
They seem pretty chill.
Simple creatures that were of no threat, but still, their elimination was ordered as they were to be destroyed for the good of the Imperium.
What the fuck? They're just hanging
Before the
out.
planet could be annihilated, it was surrounded by a violent warp storm. The wars soon to take place changed the fate of their world. The Imperium abandoned their plans for colonization and left the species to their fate. I am sure the Imperium uses this story to drive their agendas. The Tau were able to unite under one banner.
Yeah.
They claimed to stand for
Tau.
the cause of the greater good, a seemingly effective form of governance. As the centuries passed, the Tau built their empire, diving into different castes. You may encounter them. They will speak of all these castes, bar one, the Ethereals. These ruling beings are conveniently forgotten about in the Tau propaganda.
Oh.
These faceless elites are the true ruling class of the Tau. The Fire Caste are the fist used to quell rebellion. The Earth Caste show off their medical capabilities to lowly serfs. The Air Caste blockade worlds and offer free transports. And of course, the Water Caste, those silver-tongued diplomats. They promise so much to anyone with the oral receptors to hear. These upstart fledgling fools must learn to tread carefully. They do not have the ability to confront the Imperium that they berate. Only Father Time will tell whether these masters of masquerade will live or die.
Damn.
Another rise in power for the awful orcs. Centuries of crusading
Tau seem
had
pretty
weakened
chill.
the Imperium. Humanity teetered on the verge of collapse. The orc invasions were relentless. Even worse, the more the orcs suffered, the more they grew.
Oh.
Countless star systems fell to the Green Wave. It is their chaotic nature that holds them back from remaining atop their evolutionary chain. A culture predicated on the desire to be bigger and stronger than the rest can only go so far without true governance. Even with their
They
simplicity,
could have had it all.
the damage they caused almost destroyed the humans. It was
These
not
guys are
our
lit.
time to rise. Our armies were set to awake at a later date. However, our tomb worlds were invaded by the Adeptus Mechanicus on their quest to find the lost standard template constructs. They discovered our tomb worlds. Their curiosity and their degradation of the slumber protocols led to countless members of our race awakening. 65 million years of slumber. It was our time to rule the galaxy
I need that
once
nap.
more.
I
To
gotta sleep like
reclaim
that.
what we had died for. Our metallic bodies regenerated. Our weaponry was to mortals what the storm was to the stone. More of our tombs were awakened. Our armies began their conquest. The silent king took back his rightful seat on the throne. It is our time once again. How the humans love to hold their martyrs up for all to see. No single world is a greater martyr than Cadia. In truth, I had believed the Terran method of time recording, BC, stood for before Cadia. They speak of this planet so often during battle. It was a world of much importance to the Imperium, and to be frank, the galaxy. The fall of Cadia is a loss. It was a weapon designed to remove the warp from our reality. Its loss must be lamented.
Well, that
During
sucks,
the
yep.
13th Black Crusade, the War Master of Chaos, Abaddon the Despoiler, launched a massive assault against the Loyalists. A unfathomable war broke out, and the planet was eventually destroyed. It was a significant loss for the Imperium, losing such a beautiful world to their own traitorous kind.
Damn.
One of the greater threats faced by the mortal races of the galaxy are the beings we labeled the Great Devourers, the Tyranids. The humans named them the Tyranids after their attack and consumption of Tyrant Primus. Revolting insectoid creatures that swarm world after world, consuming everything that stands in their path. All life is consumed by these creatures, consumed, studied, and improved on. Though they appear as mindless animals, they are sublimely clever beings. They have demonstrable hierarchies. They adapt and evolve
scary.
in the moment
I
to
don't like the way
conquer
they
any
look.
situation.
I
Little
know!
is known of
They
their
remind me of
history.
the ants.
There are no records of them before the Great Sleep. They appeared from the deepest reaches of space.
They just fucking spawned
The
in.
humans first discovered the creatures in the eastern fringes. Rumor has been said that they were first seen by the Inquisition as far back as the 35th millennium. Speculation and rumors, of course, but I still enjoy this discord. It is said that they have begun to surround our galaxy, ready to unleash their own conquest, after being drawn by the Emperor's light within the void. I cannot say if this is true or not.
Holy shit, they're like real
Others
bugs,
believe
dude.
they are being pushed back, chased into our regions of space. All of this poses a great question. Are these beasts coming to this galaxy after having consumed everything they could in their own? Or,
That's
and this is not
scary.
the ideal case, are they running from something greater?
You know, I'll take
If
the
they
latter,
continue
yeah,
their
but
rude interruption of the drama that is the galaxy's unfolding history, I may have to add a new section to the gallery. Perhaps I will name it A Brief History of the Tyranid Species.
holy bugs.
The universe is at unrest. The rapidly growing threats to the
Oh
galaxies have
no,
increased
I meant the former.
as
I want the
weak
former.
find
Sorry,
power.
I don't know my left
All
and
of us
rights.
are grasping for our rightful
I'm a little
place
bit
on the throne
dyslexic.
of the universe. All empires rise and fall. It is the destiny.
Sorry, not the
of
latter.
all
I want the
life
former. I
to
messed
fade
up. I
away.
messed up.
Life is a struggle for all who have fought to survive. Even the smallest of life forms face this turmoil. The weak become dust in the infinite darkness, never to be remembered. To rank which
Damn.
species stand at the top would be irrelevant in the current turmoil. They
I'm having
all
a
cling to their
crisis.
spot, each battle and
What's the
war
point of
gaining
my
favor,
life? Like,
or falling to decide to rise again. The great empires of the past have all earned their place in my halls. They each have a place in the history of the galaxy.
damn.
The future of the universe will continue. Others will try to gain their spot, as did all the great empires of the past. It is a pitiful attempt. All life will wither and die. There is only one race that will succeed them all. We are immortal. We have
Damn,
learned from our
glaze,
mistake.
dude.
We will rule our galaxy once again.
Oh,
But humanity, in its rapidly breeding expansion, has offered us what we never thought possible. A means to return to the flesh times. We are the infinite.
wow. That was some crazy glaze. That was fun. I think this was made by Warrior Tier. Yeah, this is my first video watching from Warrior Tier. That was super fucking fun. Wow, that was really fun. I actually felt like we were watching a movie, like a real ass movie. That was super. Well, I don't know who voice acted it. I think they said at the beginning it was voice act. I'm gonna have to like check, but who voice act? Trazyn. That was wonderful. That was beautiful. That was so fun. Are there any more videos like this, chat? I think I would like to watch more videos like this. Yeah, I was very invested. That was super fun. I hope you guys had fun learning about the timeline of 40k universe from Trazyn's perspective. That was really fun. I feel like I actually learned a lot more about the Necrons and like kind of like their personalities, how they're like perceiving the world, and everything like that through this video. So that was really fun. I thought them glazing themselves at the end was very fitting, and I was entertained by it. I felt a little bit embarrassed when they did roast humanity though. I'm like, damn, bro, those are my homies, bro. That's me. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching that, and thank you so much for watching this with me. Thank you. I hope to watch more in the future.